Good morning and welcome to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter, the show that takes a look at the events and what's happening all around Putnam County, as well as interviews with local, community, and business leaders. And now, sharing his insights and experience, here's Today in Putnam County with County Mayor Randy Porter.
Thanks, Philip Gibbons, and thank you for joining us today. Hope you're having a great weekend. This week's show, it's about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard. Not familiar with them? Well, I wasn't until recently, but they are a great group of ladies that are performing a great service for our community. My guests this week are Donna, Sherrill, Barb Davis, and Kaye Davenport. They are the officers of the Nurses Honor Guard. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you on the show. Thanks for what you do. Barb, Donna, Kaye, I don't know you as well as I do these other two. We go back a long ways in healthcare. Before we started this morning, we were talking about, we might as well tell them, we probably got 150 years in healthcare when you put us all together with
Exactly.
years of service. I knew you guys from the hospital, and during my EMS days, for some of you may not know, I started out as a paramedic and was EMS director and 911 director for years and got to know these folks, and they're great friends and got a lot of fond memories from the healthcare days back then. Although I have to say, I don't think the folks in healthcare today have as much fun as we did back then.
No, absolutely not.
No, absolutely not.
There's no way they
That's
could.
our little secret.
It's totally changed, and glad to have you all this morning. So, military has an honor guard, veterans have an honor guard, even our police and EMS and firefighters have honor guards. But recently, a few years ago, Nurses Honor Guard. I'd not heard of that, but Donna, kind of tell us how that got started.
Sure. So the actual Nurses Honor Guard began in 2003, and that was started by the Kansas State Nurses Association. And for a long time, the Honor Guard was only for them. And then gradually, nurses started seeing that. In 2011, one of those nurses attended a conference in Detroit, Michigan, and brought it back to her group. And that is Julia Godby Murray, which actually helped us get started.
Wow.
So in March 2019, I was on Facebook and saw the group, Arkansas group, Nurses Honor Guard. And when I saw their video, I knew right away that that's something that we needed and something I wanted to be a part of.
Wanted to do it here.
Absolutely. I put it out on Facebook, put the video out there, let everybody see it. And then within just a little bit, I got a lot of people that wanted to be a part of it. So,
isn't that great? I remember seeing your Facebook post that you put out, and that's when I first heard about the Nurses Honor Guard. And you never know. In today's society, it seems like folks aren't willing to volunteer like they used to. We see it in our fire departments and rescue squads and different things. I was curious as to how many people that you would actually get that would be willing to put their time and effort. I try to stay involved with the Veterans Honor Guard, watching them and keeping up with them, and we help them, and they have a hard time getting folks that is willing to dedicate the hours that you do to be able to go to these services and perform this Honor Guard service. It's just, it's amazing. I'm glad that it happened. So you started out with just a few people, right?
Right. So like I said, on Facebook, we had about 30 people that was interested in it. But then when we had our first meeting in April, there were 6 that showed up.
It sounds good, doesn't it? You know, oh, yes, I'm a volunteer, but it's a lot of hard work and a lot of time. But I was amazed at how many you have today.
Yes, we have 82 today. So we have grown from 6 to 82.
I don't know. There may be some other honor guards that have that many. I know the veterans don't come close. It's hard to find folks. You probably got more than anybody I know of that's willing to.
And it's men and women.
Wow. So
yes.
it's not just a female with the nurses. It's men and women.
No, it's any licensed nurse.
Wow. So you kind of got it started in 2019, and you started as a 501c3. Is that right?
We didn't start as a 501c3. We had to apply and do all of the things that were necessary to get that status. And so it took a little while, probably close to a year, for us to actually get that status. But we had a lot of good help and people that pointed us in the right direction, and we were able to obtain that.
Barb, y'all operate off of donations, though, don't you?
We do. And back to the 501c3, we had an attorney who was also a nurse, and she was very willing. And then it's like Donna said, we've had so many people that are just willing and open-hearted just to help us. And we do operate off of donations. And a lot of our donations come from the services that we do, from points of appreciation from the families.
Well, and it's very time consuming. You got all your expenses of driving and going, and your uniforms and all the many things that y'all do. So if catch everybody in the beginning here, if people want to donate to the cause and donate to the Nurses Honor Guard, how would they go about that, Donna?
So they can contact me, and basically they can donate cash, check, and then mail, they could mail it to me.
But do you have a Facebook page, website or something?
We don't have a website at this time. That's something that none of us are actually privy to getting one started. So
you've got an email address, though,
we
right?
do have an email address, yes.
And that is tnhgpres@gmail.com.
Correct.
So, folks, if you're interested in donating to help these ladies, reach out to them. Very worthy cause. Kaye, you were in the lab for years before you got into nursing and everything. So, what made you want to do something like this?
Well, I actually moved up here from Nashville and was working in another little town in the lab, and I just realized I was at pretty much the end of that career. I loved what I did, but my dad said, "Well, why don't you just go to school and be a nurse?" And so I was actually in my 40s when I graduated from Tech with my BSN. But I followed in the footsteps of my mother, who was also a nurse over at the hospital, and she was 53 when she became a nurse.
Isn't that amazing?
So I just followed in some good footsteps. Best decision I ever made in my life.
Oh, absolutely. It's nursing. Anything in healthcare is very rewarding. As years ago, we didn't make a lot of money, but the blessings you received from all those people you were able to help.
You still see those today. You see people out on the street that you've worked with in the past, or even I see patients a lot of times, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, what was her name? I can't remember, and probably that's a good thing. But at the same point in time, just to see them smile and say, thank you for taking care of me.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping me. It just warms my heart.
Oh, it does. And I'm like you. I see folks that say, Randy, do you remember when you transported my mother?
Yeah.
1982. Yeah, and they remember that call because it may have been the only thing that happened in their life at that time, where we treated hundreds and thousands of patients. But it warms your heart for those folks to still remember.
Absolutely.
And healthcare is a great service to be in.
It's also a community.
It is.
Because rarely do we attend a service or have a service that we don't run into someone either who was a patient of ours, to speak to your point, or to people that we have worked with years ago, or people that knew my mother as a nurse, or knew some of our, because we have a couple of different members who, one of them, her mother was in our group as well, and unfortunately her mother just passed, and we just did her service, the first service that we've done for an actual member, and that's touching. Yes, it was.
Yeah, that's touching. We're talking about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard this morning. They provide a great service to folks at their funeral services, and they're even doing some things in honoring folks while they're still living. We're going to talk more about that as we get into the next segment. You listen to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. More with Donna, Barb, and Kaye about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard, and we come back. Stay with us.
Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Welcome back to Today in Putnam County. I'm your host, County Mayor Randy Porter. I hope you're having a great weekend. This week's show, it's about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard. And I know you may not know what that is, but we're telling you this morning. I've got three great guests that some of these ladies I go back a long ways in healthcare with. Miss Donna, Sherrill, Barb Davis, and Kaye Davenport. They're the officers of the Nurses Honor Guard that they provide a great service to not only folks at funeral services, but they've started a new one where they are doing Honor the Living service. So we're going to talk about these this morning. Donna, we're talking about how you organized and how you got started back in 2019. And I was looking, you've done 123 services.
123, that's right.
That's amazing in that short amount of time.
Right.
So I'm sure our listeners are curious as to what happens with the Nurses Honor Guard. What do you do at a funeral to honor the folks, or just kind of walk through that and let everybody know?
Sure. So to begin with, about an hour or so before the service begins, we will actually stand guard. So there are usually two of us on either side of the casket or the memorial table there, and we just stand showing our respect. And so actually during the service itself lasts about 4 minutes. We'll enter into the chapel, and the first thing that we do is read a tribute, and we insert the nurse's name into that tribute. Then at the end of that, we lay a white rose either on the table or casket, and that is just in appreciation for that nurse for being our colleague. The next thing that we do is we have a triangle. We ring that 3 times and call the nurse's name. At the end of that, when there's no answer, then we actually release the nurse from her nursing duties. Now, when a nurse graduates from nursing school, they light what's called a Nightingale lamp.
Okay.
And that just signifies the beginning of their nursing career. Florence Nightingale was known as the lady with the lamp, and so we light that lamp at graduation. So at their funeral service, we actually extinguish that lamp.
Wow.
That lamp is then placed in a beautiful homemade box made by Barb and her husband, and then that is presented to the family. And so it's much like, the flag is presented to the family in a military service. Yeah. And so this is just one thing that we can give the family, and all of this is at no charge to them. So,
guys, I know you can't see the box on the radio, but Barb, that is beautiful. You and your husband make those?
Mostly Carl. I just kind of transport him around. But he has a skill level for that sort of thing.
It's amazing.
And he feels a very strong part of this organization. And so he says that's his way to give back.
So something the folks can take home with them, keep as a memento, and remember that person and their service to the healthcare field, isn't it?
And they get the lamp
inside
as well.
the lamp is placed inside that.
That's amazing. I did not know that about lighting the lamp at the graduations for the nurses.
Right.
That's amazing. So I got to ask you, Kaye, I'll ask you, is it difficult, and I know with our guys, standing at the casket and trying to hold your composure, and especially when you may have known that person, isn't that difficult?
It is in a way, but you're so honored to be able to do this. And nurses went for years without any real respect. If you'll, just read back, of course, then it became the thing to do to be a nurse. And we're just so thrilled for the opportunity to be there. Now, there are times when we are tearful. Very frequently, the services we do, we may not know a person in the room, but by the time we leave, we do. Because they make it a point to come to us. But it's just something that, we feel we're at peace with what we do. We are proud of what we do. And we want to pay that honor on to the person who is deceased and to their family as well.
What a great way to honor the folks. And we're talking about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard. I got Donna, Sherrill, Barb Davis, and Kaye Davenport that are the officers of the Honor Guard and the service that they provide to these folks. And when you start thinking, Barb, about a lot of these nurses may have dedicated their life to the healthcare, not expecting, especially when we go back to our days to start out in healthcare, not expecting to make big money, barely got by some of us during times, but it was giving back to your community. It was helping your fellow man, which the Bible talks about doing those good deeds and having those gifts. I mean, I've always said it was a gift for me to be a paramedic, that's something God allowed me to do, to be able to see all that and do all that and it not bother you. You see it the same way with the nurses, don't you?
What I think a lot of times what we as nurses of the older generation, it is different. Times were slower at that point, and I think that a lot of times the facilities were smaller. And so you had less numbers of nurses. Like Donna and I have known each other for a long time from the ER at Cooper Regional. And so I think it makes a difference. And I don't think that we were as strapped with as many regulations. I think a lot has to do with that in today's environment. And I don't think the camaraderie we had, I think, is different than what they have today.
We were a family back then.
Most certainly. And not only from the nursing, from the hospital side, EMS, fire, we were all one big family.
We were.
And when one hurt, the other hurt.
We all hurt. I think that's one thing that's probably missing in healthcare today is when you start looking at, I think of the hospital having 2,500 employees.
Yes.
That's so many people. There's no way you can get to know everybody and have that same.
No, you can't.
Have that same camaraderie. So you've got a new service though that you're doing. Launched it back in 2022. I think it's called Honor the Living Service.
Right.
So tell us about that, Donna.
So, we decided that, why wait till somebody's deceased before we honor them. So we launched this program, and so what we do now is when we find out that there's a nurse either in hospice care, nursing home, kind of an end-of-life situation, we can go to their homes, nursing homes, hospitals, wherever they happen to be, and we honor them while they're still living. And so at that service, we have a lapel pin that we give them. We give them a certificate of appreciation. We also have a really nice blanket with our logo and name monogrammed on there that we give them. And then at the end of the tribute service, we read a nurse's prayer. And so actually we have done to date 13 of those, and we'll make 14 today because we will be doing one this afternoon.
Oh, that is amazing. Honoring people before they pass away.
Right.
You think about it. Why do we wait till somebody passes away and to say good things about them or to honor them? And I had not heard, I don't know of any other organizations that are doing that. Now, they could be, but I know with our other honor guards, it's always waiting until that person passes away. But you're doing it while they're still alive, so they can hear that.
The first one that we did actually was at in 19 Donna, and what she said is, I want to see what my funeral is going to look like. Wow. And that was kind of where it was born. Yeah, where it began. We were all a little rattled when we went to do that first service because that was something different. We hadn't done that before, but it's amazing.
That is great to be honoring these folks while they're still alive. You sent me the nurse's prayer. I thought this is pretty neat, and I'm going to read this. It says, give me strength and wisdom when others need my touch, a soothing word to speak to them, their hearts yearn for so much. Give me joy and laughter to lift a weary soul. Pour in me compassion to make the broken whole. Give me gentle, healing hands for those placed in my care, a blessing to those who need me. This is a nurse's prayer. We're talking about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard with some folks that I've known for a long time, Donna, Sherrill, Barb Davis, and Kaye Davenport. They do a great job. We're going to talk more with them after this break. Stay with us.
Get a great
achieve. And now back to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.
Thanks, Philip Gibbons. Hope you're having a great weekend. This week's show is all about the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard. If you're not familiar with them, you should have caught in on the first two segments of the show. We'll be putting it up as a podcast here pretty soon, and you'll be able to hear it again. My guests this week are Donna, Sherrill, Barb Davis, and Kaye Davenport. They're the officers of the Nurses Honor Guard. And some of these ladies go back a long ways in the healthcare field. They were nurses and for years and years at our local hospital and worked with a lot of them for many years, and they did a great job. And now, after they're retired, they're giving back to Nurses Honor Guard. And Donna, we were telling folks to go to these funerals for these nurses and perform this ceremony that, in my mind, it's a way to honor what those nurses did, what they did for the community, and the giving back. But we were talking earlier, it's almost like a part of the healing process, isn't it, with those folks, trying to help those families heal?
Absolutely, it is. The families, a lot of times we don't know the families, we don't know the situations, but by the time we leave there, we have, introduced ourselves to the family, and we've talked to them, and we have learned more about their loved one. And I think that by us honoring them and giving them the recognition that they deserve from their many, many years of serving other people, it does help so much with the healing process.
Barb, your husband Carl makes these beautiful boxes that you give to the families, and we were just talking about one of our favorite doctors we know and how much it meant to him. And
it did.
And Carl doesn't go to the services with you, but what he's creating here stays with those families for years and
forever.
Years. And it helps them remember their family member in a good way, doesn't it?
Right. And the physician we were discussing, he still looks at that box. As Donna said, he plays the last song that was done at the funeral for his wife. And Carl was we were at a function at a Christmas parade, and the doctor got to actually see him, and Carl cried, and the doc cried, and it was emotional because at that point they met on a common ground of something that Carl was able to give him.
I always thought at a funeral, you got people that play different parts, but all doing God's work, aren't we? With each one of the parts, from the whoever the pastor is that's holding the funeral, to the funeral directors, to everybody involved, and y'all are a part of this too.
We are
in helping honor that person, and you got to get a good feeling from that. I mean, I just think the rewards, the rewards you're going to see sure to come in the life hereafter, but the rewards you're getting here on this earth by being able to go and do this and take the time to do it.
One of my docs that I used to work with a lot at the hospital attended a funeral, and he came up to me much later, and I didn't even know he was there, and he was talking about it, and he said, "What can I do to help?" And he said, "I want to give." He said, I can't do what you're doing and what your group's doing, but I want to give." And so he did. He gave greatly.
Donated.
He donated greatly.
These ladies have a lot of expense in driving. Donna, y'all cover 10 counties?
Yes, we cover the entire Upper Cumberland region, and we go other places too. There are 9 honor guard groups in the state of Tennessee. There are only 6 counties in the whole state that are not actually covered at this time that we're working very diligently to get.
So 89 counties of the 95 have an honor guard now.
Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
Yes. And we have gone way out of our jurisdiction, if you would, to other services that maybe other honor guards didn't have enough people to attend or whatever at that time. So each honor guard is autonomous.
Yeah.
And they have their own bylaws and their own groups, but we all work together to make sure that all nurses are honored.
Y'all are doing these services both at the funerals and these new Honor the Living service, but y'all try to be a big part of the community, don't you, Kaye?
Yes.
I mean, Christmas parade. I saw you were in our Christmas parade and all these things. I mean,
we've done that for 3 years. We did our first Christmas parade was in Monterey.
That's the first time I saw you was at that parade.
It was a lot of fun. It was very cold, but it was a lot of fun.
We can't have a Christmas parade and be warm. Well, it's going to be the coldest night of the year.
That God has given us is a cold day, so people think it's going to snow and everything.
Yeah.
And we do the Veterans Day parade because we are greatly proud of our veterans.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want them to know that. And we have been at the Twin Lakes Catfish Farm.
4th of July thing, right?
4th of July.
Yeah.
It's the hottest days of the year.
Yes. So you got both extremes.
We're all weather driven that way, you see.
Especially in the uniforms that you wear. I mean,
right. And we I don't know that Donna has alluded to the pinnings of the LPN programs, TCAT programs. We've gone to Crossville several times. We do like 2 or 3 a year. Whenever they got somebody graduating, we go. Sometimes it's 25 students, sometimes it's 4.
You never know.
Still, they all deserve that. Oneida was the furthest away.
You can't get there from here.
Well,
I used to have to drive that.
Well, we found it twice. So we've proven the point that we can. And we just recently started helping with the pinning of the RNs at the Fortis program. And they're fairly new. So it's just great. And then, we see people who say, "Oh, I saw you at in a Christmas parade," or "I saw you at the pinning," and it makes you feel so good that people care, and people appreciate.
Yeah, they do.
Families appreciate that somebody else is bringing the much-needed attention to what took up their families' lives for so many years.
They dedicated their lives, didn't they, to healthcare, to nursing?
Yes.
I mean,
absolutely.
They did. And I'd like to add, if I may, before we start any service, we always have a group prayer because we want to truly represent what God wants us to do. And
absolutely.
We feel like we're doing the Lord's work, and
absolutely.
we're very proud of that fact.
Absolutely. I think you are. And y'all make me think you're working harder now than you did before you retired. I mean, and I know how crazy it was then in healthcare, but I don't know how y'all find the time to do all this.
I don't think for us it's a problem because we want to. And as Kaye said, and you said too, we feel that this is our mission. We've been given this task, and we gladly accept it.
It's all about those gifts we were talking about. Nurses have that gift to provide that health care, and you've got a gift now to be able to provide these services.
And not all of us are retired. Yeah. So it is...
You're still working, Donna?
Well, I'm still working, but there are a lot of group members that are still working. And so this is a commitment, but we don't expect you to be able to be at everything because of work schedules and family and that type of thing. So that's why we need as many people as we can so that we can continue to do this work for everyone.
Well, and having that number of members, and I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were, I thought you were retired too, but
well, Barb works too.
Well, yeah, I've retired
now,
3 times. I'm a slow learner that way.
You were on your 3rd retirement?
Yeah, but I'm working again, and I'm happy. I work 2 days a week, and life is good.
Well, good for you. Y'all are a great group of folks, and I appreciate what y'all do. Let's talk about if folks want to help. If they want to donate, you've actually got a YouTube video, right? So if people want to see what the actual service is about, you've got one of those, right?
Right. We did an actual service was actually for one of our members' mother-in-laws, and they allowed us to video it and put it on YouTube. And so you can go to YouTube and search Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard and see the video there of a service and what we actually do.
And so if somebody wants to donate, you've got an email address of tnhgpres@gmail.com.
Right.
And I'm going to give you a phone number, so you're going to be real popular now, okay?
Okay.
931-260-6287. If you'd like to donate to the Tennessee Nurses Honor Guard, if you'd like to volunteer, I'm sure y'all would love to have folks.
Absolutely. Or if they need our service.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I guess a lot of times it comes through the funeral homes, doesn't it, of them calling you. But if somebody wants to do one of these Honor the Living service, or if they want to have you to service, call that number.
Yes.
And there's no charge. Y'all do it as a free thing to the community. That is absolutely amazing.
One of the things, too, I think that Donna has led this group so well is to help other Nurses Honor Guard get started. How many have we gotten helped thus far?
I haven't even counted.
Lost count.
Yeah. Even in other states.
Yeah.
We helped start the one in North Carolina, South Carolina. Yeah, we've started Nurses Honor Guards all over the country.
So the goals have them in every state, right? Where we've got them covered.
Yes.
Sure. Yes.
We actually have a National Nurses Honor Guard Coalition that has just started, and we'll be having our first national meeting in May. So it'll be interesting for all of the Nurses Honor Guards all over the country to come together. So one other thing I would like to mention is that we'd like to give a shout out to Gunnell's Florist. They have been so instrumental in donating all of the roses for us that we give to the families and present at the funeral services. So a big shout out to them.
That's amazing. I appreciate y'all so much and what you're doing, and thank God for you, and pray that He keeps you safe and healthy and be able to keep doing this. And I appreciate y'all being on the show.
Thank you, Randy.
you.
We appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's good to see you again. That's our show for this week. Hope you join us every weekend for Today in Putnam County, right here on all the Zimmer family of radio stations. I'm County Mayor Randy Porter. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and may God continue to bless Putnam County.
You've been listening to Today in Putnam County, hosted by Putnam County Mayor Randy Porter.